Hi, I'm Marcus Coward, and this is Wake Up New Bedford, and I'm here with RickyRez. Ricky, thanks again for coming.
Thank you.
So, where'd you get your stage name from? Because you've been using it since you were young.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Sure.
Because I got it from what J. Cole did. He took his first name and just put it together with his last.
Sure.
My legal name is Ricardo Perez.
Oh, okay, cool,
But
cool.
everybody just called me Ricky growing up.
Sure.
So RickyRez.
That's clean.
Yeah, it's simple.
And goes hand in hand with your philosophy of not lying or capping. Like, you're just saying your name, bro.
Yeah.
That's just who you are. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all. Like,
Mess with that.
it's real simple.
And so, was that the first idea you came up with? Like, do you have to try and figure that out, or?
I'm gonna be honest with you. There was a bunch of names
Yeah.
that ran through my head.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what they were.
Sure.
But I can tell you they were trash. Because my brother was sitting in the room with me as I was making them up, like
Sure.
in my head. And the only one that right, he's sitting there playing with a Rubik's Cube.
Okay.
My brother, like his nickname in high school was Google.
Oh, okay, got you.
He could solve a Rubik's Cube like behind his head.
Savage.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So he's sitting there like this. I'm listing off names. The only one that made him look up was RickyRez. So I was like, that one.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
That big brother's approval, like, is super helpful. Yeah.
Very helpful, dude.
Yeah.
Especially when I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know?
So, do you have any experience with freestyling?
Freestyling, yeah. So, I remember about 2 years ago, or
Okay.
about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
was when I started freestyling to make music. But back in I would say 2021, like when I went out to Cali and Colorado and all that, I was at a point with freestyling where I could go for 2-3 hours.
Really?
Yeah, like we would sit in the car. I remember we road tripped from California to Colorado. And the entire time they just had beats on.
Yo,
And
okay.
I was literally freestyling for 14 hours, bro. Like the only time I stop is when we stop at like the gas station.
And so when you were describing how you would make a song but then have 3 different versions put together, immediately I'm like, yo, this kid sounds like Juice WRLD. But that really makes me think like, okay, this kid's like Juice WRLD, like that.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Well, see, when I had the different versions of the songs, that wasn't with freestyling. I started that with with writing.
Yeah.
Because I was at the point where I could write an entire song, like hook, verse, in 15, 20 minutes. So I would be at work. I'm like, oh, okay, I already wrote to this beat, but I love this beat so much,
Sure.
I'm gonna write to it again.
Sure.
So I finished that one. I'm like, I still love the beat. I'm
Yeah.
gonna write to it
You
again.
You got more for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then that was really where the freestyling came in, because I was at a point where I was like, not mastering writing or mastering writing, but I definitely put my 10,000 hours in
For
with
sure.
writing.
Yeah.
Like well beyond. So I was like, okay, what's next? Like what do rappers usually do? You know, like, okay. And that's when I learned freestyling. And the same way, I was at a point where, like when I first started, even though I was excelling in writing, I could only freestyle 2 bars and then I'd have to stop, you know, or like 1 bar and then like stop.
How'd you get better?
So I'd be sitting in automotive in school, right?
Perfect place. Yeah.
Perfect place. Because you want to be honest with you, man?
Please.
We did nothing. And so in Vogue, it's 6 days doing like math, science, all that, and then 6 days in your shop. Mine was automotive. So I had 6 days of math, ELA science, and then 6 days of nothing. You know? So we'd be in shop, and everybody around me knows I rap, and they just put on a beat and they look at me and be like, and I'm like, all right.
Okay.
And then it kind of got to a point where like the best way I can describe it is, the thing that I'm saying, like the sentence I'm saying right now, as I'm saying it, I already know what the last word is gonna be. It's like a list pops up in my head of words that sound like this one.
Yeah.
And then before I finish that sentence, I just have to pick. And like that's really the best way I can explain it.
Sure.
When I started. But now, it's more of I hear the beat, and I already know which direction I want to go. You know, it's a. In better words, it's like an NBA player shooting a jump shot. You know, like I don't put so many reps in. I'm just shoot the ball.
Sure. So, did you spend any time writing not to beats? Was that easier or harder, or was it just different?
So, I would do drills actually. Like I would sit down. I would say, okay, I have to write a 16-bar verse in 16 minutes. And sometimes I would do that with a beat. Sometimes I would do it with no beat.
Sure.
You know, other times I would just write to write, because when I started, I didn't have producers. You know, granted, my producers are here with me right now. Shout out Draco, Wise, shout out Luke, all of them. Shout out Doug too, he's a GOAT. But and Legacy too. I didn't have producers, so I would have to find beats on YouTube.
Yeah, type beats for sure.
Yeah, type beats. And I just couldn't find the type beats I wanted, so I would just write, you know, and that helped me. That I feel like sometimes helped me more than writing to the beats, because when you just write and write and write, it becomes second nature. You know, like literature was really my passion. Like I never stopped reading books. To this day, to go to bed instead of laying there like on my phone until I fall asleep. Like some nights I'll do that. You know, I'm not perfect.
Sure.
But the nights where I remember, I'll read myself to sleep.
Okay.
You know. So
what genre like is your favorite to read, or is it all different kinds?
As of right now, I would say the closest way I could put it is like self-help books. Like
Sure. Yeah.
Not even self-help. I'll read books that have to do with ideologies. You know, different perspectives.
Yeah.
You know, I'll read books where it's like, okay, this is a book that is recommended to people who are training to join the CIA. But then this book is catered to people who are struggling running a business. Then this book is catered to people who struggle with talking to people. You know, I'll pick up a book and I'll be like, okay, what does this have for me? You know, and I don't really like reading like nonfiction, like all that stuff. Like that stuff's cool to me, you know, stories and all that. But you know, once you reach my age, which I'm not saying I'm grown, but once you kind of get a little older, you want to ingest things that have a purpose for ingesting instead of just entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many books I could name, but
No, for sure. So when you were growing up, though, I mean, were you reading like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson?
So when I was growing up,
Yeah.
which is crazy, the same way that I wasn't allowed to read or to listen to hip hop music, I wasn't allowed to read what everybody else was allowed to read.
That's what I've heard.
I've never read a Harry Potter book.
Really? Okay.
I've never read a Percy Jackson book. Like
Wow.
I wasn't
You're
like
missing out.
every book I wanted to read or like take home to read at least, I'd have to give it to my mom first. She would look at it, she would look it up, and then she would give it back to me if it was her approval. Yeah, bro, it was.
I really appreciate how they raised you, though.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
even
you
gonna cap.
see-
know,
you
I
see
really
why
do.
I'm thankful
Yeah,
now?
for
Like-
sure. Yeah.
I'm very thankful how they raised me, and it's like, I see other kids who even back then would make fun of me for how they raised me, and I would feel bad about it. But now I look where I am and
Yeah.
where those kids are, and not saying I'm miles ahead of them, but give it another 10 years.
Yeah, you know, you just, you know, the amount of times they've been in handcuffs is probably a lot higher. Yeah,
A lot higher than mine,
Yeah.
you know. So
For sure.
I'm very thankful that they kept me on the straight and narrow, to say
Yeah.
the least.
No, I mean, it's huge.
Very thankful.
So even still now, but I mean, especially like when you didn't have producers, when you're just working by yourself, and you're making hooks. I mean, even before we get to that, can you sing?
Yes. So I started out as a singer, not a rapper. That's why I got made fun of in school.
Okay, talk about it.
I was singing, like I was always like around the girls, like around this and that, like, and I was a very, very good singer. Shout out to my mom, because she made sure that her gene carried on. Made sure. I don't know how she did it, but like, you know, like every morning she would be singing. Every morning, whether it's washing dishes, whether it's doing something, even on my way, like when she takes me to school, she'd be singing.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, like she made me sing in the church. She made me do all that, and I loved singing, but I wasn't like the best, you know. Like I had just enough of a good singing voice to where if we was in a car together and I sang along to a song, you don't want to tell me to shut up.
Sure. Yeah.
You
Okay.
know?
Cool. Okay.
But I'm not like a Chris Brown.
I was
a
just gonna
Ty
say
Dolla
that, yeah.
Sign. Yeah. No, nothing close to that. So when I realized that, I was like, all right, what's the next best thing? And then, like, rap literally made its way in. It's not even like I seeked it out. It was like I asked that question to the world, and then shortly after, it came in.
Yeah. It was a natural progression.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
So then going to the hooks, were you rapping or singing a lot of your hooks?
so I was singing a lot of my hooks. Like my first song was was like if I'm sitting right here, my closet would be right in here. I'm holding a pair of Apple headphones, like hooked up to my iPad. You know?
Okay.
And I'm like singing into it, like no auto tune. I don't even like I was one of those kids who hated auto tune.
Sure.
You know, like I was, and yeah, I started singing, but I realized shortly after that I was getting really, really good at the rapping. So, like, it was much of an internal battle. It was much more of an internal battle than something that you could see. But, like, you know, most kids' decisions at 15 are, where do I want to go after school? My decision was, do I want to sing on this hook or do I want to rap? Or do I want to take this route? Do I want to talk about this? Do I want to talk about that? Like, there was nothing that you could talk to me about that wasn't music that I would listen to.
Okay.
Like, I didn't enjoy sitting around talking about nothing. I hated that. Hated that. Even nowadays, you can ask the people close to me, like, yeah, I'll chill some days, but if we're not doing nothing, you could tell I'm anxious a little bit.
I know what you mean.
You know? So, yeah.
So, after high school, I mean, even though you know you want to do music, did you ever think to go to college for music?
I did.
Okay.
Because my mother brought it up to me.
Of course you did.
As all good mothers would,
yeah.
you know? But the idea of, if I want to learn music, I also have to take math, this, and science, that. That really put me off because it made me feel like school was a scam to me. Like, if I'm paying for this, why am I getting all this stuff? Like, if you go to buy a burger with some fries and you get a hot dog.
Yeah. I didn't pay for this.
I didn't pay for this. Give me what I paid for, you know?
I'm with you.
And that really put me off. And, you know, my mother went crazy about me not going to college because my brother went to college.
Sure.
You know? But when I didn't want to go to college, it was very tough because my parents didn't understand the music thing until the younger people, like my age, at the church, were telling them, like, yo, your kid is talented, you need to let him do this.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's really when they said, okay, like, we'll let you do this. But before then, dude, it was a battle.
What age were you when you got that endorsement from the people in church?
From the people in church? Oh, it was late. I had already graduated.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and it made me feel so good.
I bet.
So good.
That's why I'm asking about that in particular. Yeah. That'd be different.
Like,
yeah.
Because everyone in the church, I grew up with them, you know. I was in the church from the time I was 4.
Yeah.
And then I stopped going, which that's why my parents didn't like rap music. Because when I started going to the studio, I stopped going to church. But it wasn't like I hated the church. I just told them, like, yo, you guys are going to church four times a week. Like, I'd rather be in the studio. And they're thinking, like, oh, it's the devil. Like, oh, this, like. And yeah, it was really hard to get over that hump. But once they saw that, and then it wasn't even that. Mostly it was me going out with my parents, like, to certain places and getting recognized. Like, when people would come up to me and be like, "Yo, you're Ricky, right?" I'm like, yeah, what's up, bro? What's up? And that would happen like 3 times in 20 minutes.
Sure.
My parents would be like, "Yo, what is this? Like, yo, you selling drugs?"
Yeah.
But yeah, like, after that, it just felt really good, man. Really, really good.
So, you already slightly mentioned who these guys are, that they're producers.
Yes.
Okay. And so, when did you first start to get a team together?
So, I had always kind of bounced around because, again, I didn't have my own studio because I didn't know how to do all the stuff myself.
Sure.
All I knew was the rapper part.
Yeah.
But then come to find out, as you get older, it's not just being a rapper. It's not just being an artist. It's not just being, you know, an interviewer. It's a lot more.
Yeah, it's a
that.
whole package.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So through that, you know, I tried meeting new people, but the people who are around me today are because they came to me. And that makes me respect them even more, because, you know, most people only like to get in your circle when you have something to offer them. But the people around me came when I had nothing to offer them.
Wow.
And they still believed in me. So for that, like that's a big thing.
That's huge.
You know? Yeah, like it's cool. It's cool. Like yeah, bro. You see us winning, you want to be a part of it, but it's something else to where when it looks like the ship is sinking, when you want to join the team.
Yeah.
Like that's a very different thing, and that's why I respect the people around me so much.
And so before we really dive into what you're doing now, and I really want to ask you about your first show that you played. Before we get there, did poetry ever play a part into this progression?
A tad bit. You know, I kind of shied away from poetry because the school I was at, Vogue, they didn't really have any artistic extracurricular activities.
Okay.
You know, and the ones that they had, not to sound rude, but this is gonna sound rude, like it was just full of weirdos. Like, to put it lightly.
Being honest.
Yeah, you know, at least from my perspective.
Sure.
So I saw it as more of a, I'm gonna just do my own thing.
Sure. You didn't find a place to fit in there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Like, I had to go someplace else. And I don't know, man, school was just.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing's for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's music, whether it's the military, whether it's school, nothing's for everyone. You know, so you got to find your thing.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yes,
So now, do you remember? I mean, probably what the first show that you played?
The first show. Well, that's kind of tough because I was always performing as a kid.
Where?
Like,
What do you mean?
either in church.
Okay, sure.
Or not just my church. Like my family would bring me to different churches to sing. Like
Wow.
Different churches to play piano.
Mm.
But my first real RickyRez performance.
Yeah.
Was, wow, yeah, that's crazy. It's me in a room with a stage that is about 3 inches off the ground.
Sure.
So a stage. And about 10 people in front of me.
Yeah. Sounds like a first show.
Yeah, and you know, I acted like there was 500 people in front of me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. And I was not gonna say nervous, but I was like, this is my first time rapping. Like, I've been on stage, you know, singing, doing this, but it's different when you're the only person up there.
Yeah, and this is your story. These are your words.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and my first show was very nerve-wracking because of the substance of the songs. But then come to find out, like, half the times at shows, bro, when people listen to music, they don't even listen to the words. They just, they process the feeling.
Yeah, the
that
vibe.
Everything, yes, the vibe that as a whole, everything is giving to them.
Yeah.
So once I wrapped my head around that, it was a lot easier to perform as RickyRez. A lot easier.
Yeah, because they're not going to hang off every word. They're going to listen to the flow. They're going to listen to the beat. They're going to listen to your volume and the environment and how the other fans are reacting too. You know?
Yeah, and people forget, it's like yeah, I could perform as good as I can, as good as I possibly can. But if the sound engineer is messing up, I'm gonna sound horrible.
Yes, exactly.
If the speakers blow, I'm screwed.
It doesn't matter what you're saying; they can't hear you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was my first, I would say, 15 performances were a lot of just that. Like, like I do everything perfect, and then something goes wrong.
Really?
Yeah. And
that's hard. Yeah.
It literally felt like something in my life was trying to tell me, yo, this ain't for you.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. But I just kept going. And, you know, now I'm still doing shows to this day. I got a show next week, actually, on my birthday, on Tuesday.
Okay, crazy.
Yeah. And, you know, we just keep going. Like now, or actually, I should say back then. Like, back then, I would have the songs written. I would just, like, look at myself in the mirror and just, like, rap the songs, you know? But, like, now, since I have a team, we'll go to a spot, we'll, like last time we took the car onto a basketball court at nighttime. It's freezing.
Yeah.
Opened all the car doors, played the music out of it, and then I performed for my team.
Fire.
About 6 or 7 times until they go, yeah, you're good. You know, not until I'm tired. Until they tell me, yeah, you're good now.
Yeah.
And that's at the point where I'm at with that now.
That's huge. And so, so who do you consider to be your team?
My team, my producers, and well, can I do it by name?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I got first and foremost the man who taught me how to make my own beats.
Okay.
Legacy.
Okay.
We have Draco, who also helped me to learn how to make beats, but he's the best producer. Hold on, which camera is looking at me? Is it that one?
Yeah, this is a close up. Yeah.
Draco is one of, if not the best producer in New Bedford. And I want to make that very, very known and very clear to everybody. I also got to give a shout out to my man Wise. He's another dude. If we talking about DJs and producers and marketing and in terms of just brain capacity in general, we got to talk about my man Wise. And then we got Doug. You know, he's more of the. Have you seen the Wu-Tang show?
Yeah.
He's more of the Rakim's brother.
Okay.
You know, he's telling people, yo, we're doing this day. We're doing this day.
Yeah.
You know, and And then we have a couple other people. You know, we got my man's Luke. He's another producer. He's also an artist. Very, very dope. And yeah, you know, I think my team is just comprised of the quote, if everyone's doing their job, nothing can go wrong. You know,
Yeah, solid. And so, New Bedford as a music scene, okay. Were you able to consistently get shows here? And is this, because I kind of answered the question. So I need to ask it, okay? Because so many artists say this. So I'm trying to, you know, ask you guys and get a sense for why. So it seems like a lot of artists in New Bedford have to go to either Boston or Providence in order to perform. What do you think is holding New Bedford back from being a good music scene? Because we have a lot of artists. So it confuses me as to why we don't have a good music scene where we can perform.
You want me to be completely honest with you?
Please.
I think the main problem with that is it's not the music, it's not like the people, because the people here are great. You know?
Yeah.
But I say it's the fact that people think that things are easy. Not you. I'm saying like, right. An artist would much rather go to Providence or Boston to perform, but that's because out there they don't have to set up a venue. They don't have to call a caterer. They don't have to call a bartender. They don't have to call security. Like that's what my team is so comprised on. You know, we're focused on building something here.
Yeah.
You know, instead of having to go to Providence, we're trying to solidify connections where it's like, okay, we have this venue, we have this person bartending, we have X amount of security, we have X amount of chairs, we have a VIP here, we have, like, instead of letting somebody else do it for you, we're trying to do it ourselves. And I think that's the main issue with the music scene in New Bedford is that no one wants to do it themselves.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They just want to be the artist and then have everything done for them.
Exactly.
I know what you mean.
And I'm a victim of it as well. You know, when I was coming up, or not coming up, when I was younger, I definitely thought the same way. You know, like I'm a rapper. Why do I got to do that? Like that's not my job. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to the money. And if you want somebody else to do it for you, most of the time it takes money. So I think the main problem with the music scene, again, it's not the music, it's not the people. I think it's the fact that people think that you can get 2,000 people in a building by posting something on Instagram.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, dude, that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. You know, like we're more of a okay. We want to get people in this building. Let's go to Office Max. Let's print out 3,000 stickers that say RickyRez. So now, for 4 miles in New Bedford, you can't go a block without seeing the name RickyRez.
Sure.
And then that's like 3 months before the show. Then the next month leading up, we'll have the same type of thing, but with a barcode that you can scan that has info for the show.
Sure.
You know, and it's like little things like that.
You gotta be creative.
Creative, and it's honestly the little things. You know, people call it the little things, and they say the little things matter. And when you forget the little things, that can really, really mess up your bag. You know.
So I got your name from, like I said, I've interviewed a few artists, but. So there's Justin Calendar, I guess, was really the first one.
Yeah.
Okay. I also interviewed Big Chan. I haven't put it out yet. Okay. Nice. After I interviewed Big Chan, I asked her for a list of all of the top artists in this area that I should know about. She gave me your name.
Wow.
Okay. along with a few other people, but you were definitely included in that. And so that's how I looked you up. And because sure, I'm from here, but you know, I'm not a rapper, so I don't know a lot of the rap scene, but so do you seek out a lot of collaborations, and do you feel like, sure, there's the venue part, but do you feel like New Bedford as artists like to collaborate with each other, or that's something that we can work on?
I think that is something we can definitely work on. I think people hate collabing out here.
Really?
They hate it. Well, and it's honestly because, like, if you want me to be frank with you,
please.
I think my music, not just my music, but a good amount of artists in New Bedford, their music falls in a certain category that the majority of New Bedford artists don't really rock with.
Correct.
Not even rock with, but they don't associate with.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So it's like most of the people popping are doing one thing, and we're doing another thing, and it's like, do you expect them to come and shift over to us?
Yeah, nah.
Like, no, not really. Yeah. So in terms of me personally or my team, actually, I can't speak about my team because they have their own, you know, directives. They have their own stuff. But me personally, I don't really seek out collabs. I see it as, I'm at a point now where I could genuinely do everything myself. if I wanted to, you know, which thank
Musically
God,
you're talking about.
Yeah, well, yes, musically, yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say all the other stuff, but no, I'm not there yet. I'm
Yeah,
not there
yeah.
yet.
But when it comes to making a song, you don't need other artists. Yeah.
No, I can make a song off my phone with no headphones that'll sound better than someone who paid $150 an hour.
Wow.
You know, like, and that's what I strived for. I strived for, okay, what are you gonna do if you lose access to all this? You know, it's building a house. You know, so but collabs, oh man, I focused on building my team.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of weird stuff going on in New Bedford. You know, a lot of weird stuff. Well, not New Bedford, everywhere.
Yeah.
Weird stuff going on, and the music business is a cutthroat game.
Yeah, it hasn't gotten better with time. Yeah.
Has not.
Yeah.
You know, and the connections, excuse me, the connections that you make, and not only make but keep, are the most important of them all. You know, like, again, if it wasn't for the people around me today, I probably wouldn't even be here in this interview. You know, like, it's a whole bunch of things that people don't see. You know, like, I see a lot of artists, they'll post a snippet on Instagram and Snapchat, and then they'll drop the song. And then when they get 500 plays, they're confused. At least me, like, I'll run targeted ads, I'll do this, I'll put up flyers, and then when I get 500 views, I'll be like, okay, next one. But in terms of collabs, no, man, how do I put this? I try to stay in my lane.
Sure.
Yeah.
And not need anyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Anyone outside of my team.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I built it that way, you know? So it's like we have everything we need.
Yeah. And so to end part 2, to end the interview, what's one thing, so you have a show next week, Tuesday.
Sir.
So, but besides that, on like a bigger scale, what's something you want to let the people know, something that they should look out for?
RickyRez will be headlining a big show in a big venue around in New Bedford this summer or this fall. And the only thing I can say is you're gonna regret that you didn't be there. That's the lightest way to put it.
You're a serious man, bro.
Very much. Very much so. Very much so.
I respect it though.
Thank you.
Because it's not in a cocky or arrogant way. It's confident and wise and self-assured. So,
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
It was a pleasure.
I appreciate you coming on. Everyone, that's been RickyRez. Find him on social media, listen to his music, and this has been the person behind the mic. Catch us in the next interview. Thanks for watching. Peace.